Welcome to City of Secrets. Tonight, we dive deep into the heart of betrayal, where trust is shattered and revenge burns brighter than love itself. From the bustling streets of New York to the sun-soaked shores of Miami, these are the stories of heartbreak, deceit, and the fierce women who fight back. Grab a seat and prepare for a journey of passion, pain, and unforgettable twists. Welcome to City of Secrets, the betrayal in Brooklyn. Emma Carter had always believed in fairy tales. Not the kind with magic and castles, but the kind where two people love each other enough to fight for their happiness every day. She and James had built a life together in their Brooklyn brownstone, filling it with laughter, dreams, and late-night whispers about growing old side by side. But fairy tales are just stories, and hers was about to shatter. It started with something small. James's cologne smelled different one evening, a floral undertone mixed with his usual woodsy musk. Then there were the late nights at the office, the urgent text messages he turned his phone away to read, the way he suddenly started taking his showers as soon as he got home. Emma wasn't the kind of woman who jumped to conclusions. She was patient, trusting. But trust, she realized, should never be blind. One cold November night, while James was supposedly working on a major project at his firm, Emma's phone buzzed with an anonymous text. "Your husband isn't where you think he is." Her stomach clenched. Her fingers trembled as she replied, "Who is this?" No answer. But a few seconds later, another text appeared, a hotel address in Manhattan. She could have ignored it. She could have drowned herself in excuses, told herself that people play cruel jokes. But deep down, something told her she already knew the truth. Heart pounding, she grabbed her coat and stepped into the night, hailing a cab. The city blurred past her as she clutched her phone, staring at the address. Maybe she was wrong. Maybe it was all a misunderstanding. Maybe. But when she arrived at the high-rise hotel and walked into the dimly lit lounge, her worst nightmare unfolded before her eyes. James sat at the bar, his back relaxed, his suit jacket slung over the chair. Across from him, a woman laughed, a beautiful brunette, her red lips curving into a smile as she reached out to touch his hand. James leaned in, whispering something into her ear. The way he looked at her, the way his fingers played with the stem of his whiskey glass, it was intimate, familiar, like the way he used to look at Emma. She couldn't move. She couldn't breathe. A sharp, jagged pain sliced through her chest, making her feel as though she were being ripped apart from the inside. She could have stormed in, thrown his drink in his face, screamed and demanded answers. But instead, a strange clarity washed over her. This moment, the betrayal, the pain, the sheer disbelief, it wasn't hers to carry. It was his shame to bear. So she turned and walked out, silent and unseen. That night, she didn't sleep. Instead, she carefully gathered his belongings, folded his shirts with the same tenderness she had for years, then carried them outside and dumped them onto the street. The crisp autumn air chilled her skin, but she didn't care. She left a single note on top of the pile. Hope she was worth it. Then she went upstairs and did the only thing she knew how to do when words failed her. She painted. She poured her pain, her rage, her heartbreak onto the canvas, her brush moving wildly, creating violent strokes of red and black and blue. Hours passed. She didn't stop until the sun began to rise, until her grief had bled onto the canvas in a masterpiece of devastation. When James finally came home in the morning, his face was pale, his eyes wide with guilt. "Emma," he started, stepping into the bedroom. Then he saw the painting. It was an explosion of emotion, raw and brutal, the story of their love and its destruction captured in a storm of color. The locks had been changed. His bags were gone. The only thing left was the cold, empty silence between them. Emma didn't wait for explanations. She didn't need them. 2 weeks later, she sold the painting, titled The Betrayal, for $10,000. It became her most famous work, a piece that spoke to every broken heart that had ever been forced to rebuild itself. James, on the other hand, lost everything, his wife, his home, and the life they had built together. And the woman he had risked it all for? She left him the moment she realized he was nothing without the wife who had held him together. Emma didn't look back. She had painted her pain, and now she was free. The Miami skyline glittered outside their penthouse windows, waves crashing rhythmically against the shore. To the world, Daniel and Sophia Reed had it all, a luxurious life built on success, passion, and a love that had weathered years of challenges. Or so Sophia thought. The first sign was small, a gold earring wedged between the crisp white sheets of their California king bed. She didn't wear gold earrings. Sophia held it in her palm, her heart pounding in her chest. At first, she tried to dismiss it. Maybe it was a friend's, maybe the housekeeper found it and left it on their bed by mistake, but the sinking feeling in her stomach told her otherwise. Then came the late nights, the secretive phone calls, the way Daniel would turn away when she entered the room, his fingers moving just a little too quickly to lock his screen. Sophia wasn't stupid. She had spent 15 years building a life with this man, raising 2 children, standing by him as he turned his small business into an empire. And now something was off. So she did what any woman with a broken heart and a fierce spirit would do. She went looking for the truth. She installed a tracker on Daniel's car. It wasn't difficult. He never paid attention to details. He thought she was still the same woman who blindly trusted him, the woman who believed in love above all else. But love didn't leave earrings in someone else's bed. The next night, she watched as his location popped up on her phone. Nowhere near his office, nowhere near any business meeting. Instead, it was a sleek beachfront villa, the kind they used to escape to in their younger days, when love was enough and money didn't buy their happiness. She drove there herself. Every mile was a punch to the gut. Her fingers gripped the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white, her pulse hammering in her ears. When she arrived, she didn't knock, she didn't cry, she didn't scream. She simply walked up to the floor-to-ceiling window and saw them. Daniel and a young blonde woman, laughing, drinking champagne, tangled together on the couch like careless lovers with no consequences. Kylie Jennings, the bartender from the lounge Daniel frequented, a girl young enough to be their daughter's babysitter. Sophia's vision blurred, rage and sorrow clawing at her chest. But she wasn't the type to fall apart. She took out her phone, snapped a picture, and left. The next morning, she sat at their grand dining table, sipping coffee as Daniel strolled in, fresh from the shower, kissing her on the cheek like nothing had changed, like he hadn't spent the night tangled in another woman's arms. She let him sit down, let him take a sip of his coffee, let him breathe in the illusion of normalcy. Then she slid the manila envelope across the table. "What's this?" he asked, brows furrowing. "Your future," she said calmly. Daniel opened it. His face drained of color as he pulled out the divorce papers, along with the pictures she had taken the night before. "I know," she continued, her voice cold, controlled. "And so does my lawyer. So does your business partner. So do the kids' school administrators, who now understand why they might not be seeing their tuition checks next semester." Daniel's throat bobbed as he swallowed hard, panic creeping into his eyes. "Sophia, don't." She leaned forward, her gaze piercing through him. "You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." She stood, grabbing her purse. Before walking away, she reached for his wallet on the counter, plucking out his black Amex card, the one he used for his affairs, the one that had paid for the champagne and silk sheets he shared with Kylie. "I'll be keeping this," she said, slipping it into her bag. "Consider it a parting gift." Then she walked out, head high, spine straight. Later that day, she booked herself a first-class ticket to the Maldives. Daniel called. He begged. He swore he had made a mistake. But Sophia never looked back, because some women break and some women rise. Thank you for watching City of Secrets, Love, Lies, and Revenge in New York and Miami. We hope you enjoyed the stories of love, loss, and revenge. If you loved the drama, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more unforgettable tales. Stay tuned for more gripping stories, and remember, sometimes the best revenge is just the beginning.